Hi friends, my name's Haley. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing a sketchbook tour of my 2018 to the very beginning of 2020 Canson Mixed Media sketchbook. I usually take half as much time, if not less. You could probably fill a sketchbook this size in about 6 months if I'm really focused on it, but a lot of stuff happened between 2018 and now, and I'm really excited to go through my sketchbook and go over all of it with you and give you an update on where I am and who I am. Alright, see you in the voiceover. Alright, here is my sketchbook. I don't decorate my covers. Probably should though, it'll be fun. Maybe for my current one. This is the very first page I did. I was really having fun with the mixed media and my new markers and pens and pencils, and then I'd remembered how to do faces. I was trying to capture some of that same weird raw magical energy from the first one. But I remember I was in a tattoo parlor while my husband got his first tattoo, waiting while this happened, while I drew this. Another one of the weird ones had from the doodles. I remember this under here, I had messed up something else that I had tried to do. I think it was a attempt at perspective down a hallway, and it just didn't work, so I get rid of it. And had much better luck with the perspective on this one. Went back to trying to capture that magic of the first ones and not successful. Trying to blend watercolor and Prismacolors. This one was fun. This was a nice little change of pace. I did this, posted it on Instagram, and then immediately got commissioned to do another one for my cousin. This one was after learning how to do the watercolor galaxies and just became a little obsessed. And not all good. Not all good. A little bit happier with this one. I think it's just the oranges. I get a good orange color in there and I'm happy as a clam. Good, same here. Orange and pink and galaxies and gold metallic markers. This is me trying to do a slightly bigger one. Slightly bigger galaxy. I don't think I succeeded as much as I wanted to. This is the result of a bit of a funk. So I did some blobs of watercolor to make sure to give me a jumping off point. It's more accurate. So these were a blob, this was a blob, and then this one was. And this can go die, but I really like my little sea monster down there. I just really like how that thing turned out. And how my sky monster turned out. More joy. This is all watercolor. This is India ink. And there's some of my Furatake metallic markers. Tried to do the blob thing again, but this time I put too many down, so I did some characters. Got a Unibunny, which is probably my favorite thing in the world, and Squidward. More sea monsters, which is more an experiment with what happens when you use the metallic markers, I like, with water. And they do, depending on your perspective and what you're trying to do with it, I think they reacted very well to the water. This is all Tombos. Trying to use Tombos more like they were watercolor. And I think over here, just the way that blends makes me very happy. Another art funk that I just tried to shape my way out of. I don't think it worked for this one. More Tombos as watercolor practice. This is acrylic. I don't usually like to use acrylic cut paper. It gives it a really weird feel. But I just had so much left over this one day of this particular color. Like, so much. It took me so long to get to this color that I needed for a different thing. So I just couldn't waste it. And same here, I had just an excessive amount of extra black and just had to throw it down on something. And this is just a really pretty blue little feather I added. See, this is where it starts to get interesting, because about this time in 2018, because that's still where we're at, I decided to do a project that I still do. It's the 100 Days of Landscapes, where I do a landscape painting every day for 100 days. I did that over the whole summer in that year. This one was not part of that, I don't think, but it is one of my favorite landscapes I've done. It is just pleasing with the colors. This may have been the first one I attempted to do for my 100 Days of Landscapes. The first day, the day before, I got really excited and I announced it on my Instagram and everything was cool. And then the first day, I about forgot I was doing it. So, had to whip something out. This is several weeks later after that. Like before now, like throughout here, we'd been pretty regularized on it. April through May, to a couple days before the first day of summer, into June. But the first time I did the 100 Days of Landscapes, it really took a lot out of me. So I was just trying so hard. This, I didn't date this one, which is kind of a bummer. But Tombow pencil, and this was when I first got my Winsor Newton alcohol markers, and I wanted to try them out. And I love them so much. I did the same thing over here with another little dude in the alcohol markers. Isn't he cute? Oh, look at him. So cute. And this is where I tried using the alcohol markers and tried to become one of those character artists, because I love watching videos about them. I love the idea, hated the process. So I tried using alcohol markers, my Winsor Newton brush markers is what they're called. This particular brand, not the pro markers, the brush markers. And I hated it, and it made me hate my sketchbook a little bit. So this is more recent. A few weeks, I think, just before the holidays in 2019, I decided I was going to go through and cover up everything in my sketchbook that made me hate it. This is the first one. You still kind of see the yellows and poking through, and you can really see it back there. Ooh. This was also in acrylic. This is my first experiment with gouache. And gouache on paper is so much nicer than gouache, than acrylic on paper. Gouache is so nice. I didn't mind this one. I could tell this is one of the ones I was just venting out, being frustrated with my art through big shapes. But bringing back to more gouache landscapes, which is just so much my brand now. And about this time, I've really got into the idea of the Midwest Gothic. The something walks in the corn, don't look at things too long. Look it up on Pinterest. It's really, really creepy, really fun. I like it a lot. But I started to taking my art in that kind of direction. This is another one of those cases where I was really glad it was my sketchbook. Because it's like unfinished. But I love the color, and I love the raven, and just the weird blockings. This was a character art concept that I did not hate. It came out as okay as I could have hoped. This was a fun one. I remember this is back in 2018 again. I was sick in bed, did not feel good, just lying down, had my pilot pen and some Crayola super tips that I got for bullet journaling. And I just had planet making fun. This is another gouache cover-up. Trying to blend that Midwest Gothic feel with the frame breaking and overlay stuff that I was really into in the beginning of the sketchbook. Tried to kind of bring it all together. Not all that unsuccessfully, I don't think. I think I might redo this setting for a new painting outside the sketchbook. This is another one, just a simple little landscape with a big frame because I wanted to work small, but I also wanted to cover up all of what was over here. Another character art concept that didn't go terribly well. One of my favorite games is Don't Starve. So I tried to take that character art style and play with it and experiment with it. And I did it. Was fine. I was fine with it. Moving along. This is another one of the repainted ones where I covered up stuff. This was about 20 days before my wedding in 2019. Which is partly why this took me so long. In the middle of 2018, I had the 100 Days of Landscape projects where I did so much work outside of my sketchbook. And then in 2019, I had this big project of a DIY wedding. Like, we jumped back almost a year here. So I did this again in October of 2018. Probably sick in bed still. This is another cover that I tried. I can say that much at least. I tried. And this one I tried playing with watercolor and ink and lines and doing abstract kind of shapes and trees. I did it. I'm done. Back to just fun basics. This is another gouache cover-up from that same stint. You can still kind of see over there. I couldn't be bothered to cover up that much. This is taken off of a reference photo and altered greatly just to deal with the colors I had mixed in my palette already from North Carolina. Because the only place other than where I live that I've really been. And it was so many pictures. So stunning. I tried using this to do the sketchbook for a minute to do some thumbnails. These are all paintings I wanted to do that I never got around to. I hated this page so much, whatever was underneath it, that I literally taped a drawing on top of it. Back to my alcohol markers. I thought it was fun to use them kind of more illustratively and flatten a landscape. I don't think this one was as successful as this one, which is one of my favorites. It is entirely made up, just from, there is no reference photos, so I just kind of guessed and went with what I knew, but it was so much fun to do, and I think it came out looking so fun and cute. I covered some swatches of more alcohol markers with 2 little landscapes. And the simpler it is, the more you can tell I'm just feeling frustrated because I will just cover entire pages. And I did that, this one entirely with the Fine Tech metallic watercolors. I think the black may be regular watercolor first, though. This is now 2020. I really wanted to finish the sketchbook up before the end of 2019, and when it became apparent I wouldn't do that, I was just determined to keep at it every day a little bit after I recovered from the holidays, apparently. I had a fun idea of doing a bathtub with just lots of bubbles, and so I did it. And I don't think it's great, but I enjoyed doing it at the time, which is what matters in the sketchbook. This was super fun too, trying to get back into that headspace, that creative space that I was at the beginning with the girls and the bubbles and the alcohol markers and the tombos. And I wasn't home when I did this one, so I just had my pens and my Winsor Newton markers. And had fun. This is where I had a lot of fun. I did not date this one, and I ought to have. But I had my Prismacolors and watercolors and pens. So what I had done was I took my pencil and drew out the daffodil from a tutorial on YouTube I'd seen ages ago and just barely remembered. Painted the watercolor galaxy on top of it, and then went over that with the Prismacolors and the pens. And then this, and then everything outside the bubble is in Prismacolor. I repeated that. I don't think her face is all that great, but the galaxy inside the rose made me super happy. I feel like this one's self-explanatory. Not a big success. This was by far my favorite page out of this whole sketchbook. In 2017, I did Inktober for the first time. Was it 2017? We'll go with 2017. Yeah. And for one of the prompts, I did a little stylized anglerfish that looked kind of like that. I have a better version of her somewhere else. And I was just feeling on that art nostalgia kick with all the watercolors and the people, and so I did the galaxy, the little dude from earlier in the sketchbook, and her from earlier in the sketchbook, or for earlier in my art path. And the last page, I just did a little journal entry for what I felt about the end of my sketchbook, which is what I do for everyone. Right? Hope you like my little tour. I'm a big fan of these Canson Mixed Media sketchbooks. I think they are really cool. They take most things really well. I don't like the way they take my alcohol markers, though. Mostly because they absorb so much of the ink before you really get that good coverage that you're looking for. So I'm moving forward, I'm going to be much more selective with what becomes alcohol marker and what's like gouache or watercolor or whatever. I really leaned into the mixed media on this one, like mixed media. Because I don't think there is a one in here that is purely, okay, I lied. There's several that are purely one medium. But that's what I think sketchbooks are fun for. It's just really getting in there and doing stuff that wouldn't be something you'd be afraid to use as a final piece. Right? you have any questions, ask them in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from any and every one of you.